Battle through the firmament. Great world. Chapter 433 Star Sky Tablet. You know me. Looking at the grave in front of him, Xiaoyan's heart trembled slightly. Even with the prestige power spell, he was still suppressed by the boundless ki emitted by the tomb. The prestige power spell, which had been excited the moment it came into contact with the powerful ki, was now floating in front of his chest, motionless. I don't know. However, there is something on your body that I know. Not long after Xiaoyan's voice faded, another voice came from the tomb. The voice was extremely old, as if it had traveled through countless years and came from the prehistorical era. Before Xiaoyan could respond, a storage ring in his hand slipped out of his control and appeared on the tomb. In the next moment, the storage ring quietly shattered. A large pile of medicinal ingredients and treasures fell around the tomb. Xiaoyan did not have the mood to pay attention to those scattered treasures. His eyes were fixed on the 3 pieces of mysterious iron ore that had flown out from the pile of treasures and landed on the tomb. There was an iron mine the size of a fist and an iron mine the size of a fingernail. These 3 mysterious ores of different sizes. One was obtained from Black Sand Castle, another was found in the underground cave of an emperor cultivation warrior, and the biggest one was found in the mysterious land of illusory spirit space. The 3 of them were originally unrelated to each other. Unexpectedly, there was a resonance. What is this? Xiaoyan was shocked. He had felt that this iron ore had an extraordinary origin, but he didn't expect it to be related to the forbidden land of Star Moon Island. Star Moon, Star Sky Tablet. After a moment of silence, a long sigh came from the tomb. There was a deep sigh in his voice. Xiaoyan could not help but be surprised when he heard these 2 unfamiliar names. This thing is actually a Star Sky Tablet from the Star Moon. The moment Xiaoyan was stunned, the Xiaoao in his body seemed to have heard something unbelievable. An unerasable shock appeared on its small face. Its tone was filled with disbelief. What is the Star Moon Sky? And that Star Sky Tablet? Xiaoyan hurriedly asked in his heart. With Xiaoao, this companion who had memories from his previous life, the benefits he brought him were not small. The Star Moon Heavens is the combined name of the Star Sky Tablet and the Moon Heavenly Pen. It is the cornerstone treasure of the Star Domain. The legendary ancestral saint weapon, which is also one of the 12 great sacred items, actually appeared here. Xiaoyan was even more shocked when he heard this. He looked at the 3 iron mines of different sizes on the tomb in a daze, and his head couldn't help but feel a little dizzy. Above the divine weapon was the sacred weapon. Once a weapon stepped into this level, there would be a fundamental change. Sacred weapons, on the other hand, had an even stricter classification. Elder Yi had also roughly told him about the basic sacred artifacts, which had just gained sentience. With their own consciousnesses, they could communicate with human consciousnesses. Intermediate sacred artifacts, speaking human words. Its intelligence was no different from that of a human's. A high-grade sacred artifact, in human form. As an emperor, as its ancestor, its strength was already not inferior to that of a human expert of the same level. As Elder Yi had said, a sacred artifact that had reached such a level, its strength had reached the heavenly sovereign of the human race, and even more so, it was comparable to a saint. Above high-grade sacred artifacts was a heaven-grade sacred artifact. Grasping the power of formations, he could do so with a casual wave of his hand. It was the might of numerous lethal formations. It was powerful enough to kill a heavenly sovereign or above. It was an ancestral-grade sacred artifact, which was also the peak level of the Star Sky Tablet. Space and time were born within his body with the sea taking in all rivers. It was a sacred artifact. Could it be that he was a peerless expert whose name had shaken the past and present, and above the ancestor level? Above the ancestor level was the legendary creation level. Of course, the so-called creation stage only existed in legends. After all, sacred artifacts of this level had long since transcended the mortal realm and entered sainthood. No, it had even surpassed sainthood. It had reached an unknown realm. Crack. While Xiaoyan was stunned, a crack suddenly appeared on the tomb in front of him. Very quickly, this crack swiftly spread and covered the entire tomb in an instant. Even though Xiaoyan was used to seeing many amazing things, he was still shocked when he saw the scene in front of him. As the tomb suddenly split open, the heaven and earth seemed to be buzzing. Then, under Xiaoyan's shocked expression, a ball of green light quietly spread out from the tomb. Buzz! In an instant, the green light gathered together. The light rotated and an illusionary figure appeared in the sky above the tomb. Xiaoyan looked over. On top of the tomb, a green throne appeared in the air. The throne was blurry, but it emitted waves of shocking power. It felt like it could crush countless huge mountains. Although this feeling was not directed at Xiaoyan, it still made him feel suffocated and his body trembled slightly. Hua! In the next moment, a human figure slowly appeared on the throne. An old man in black robes sat on the throne, his arms resting on the armrests on both sides of the throne. The moment the old man appeared, it was as though the entire world could not withstand the pressure of the latter's appearance. Suddenly, it began to tremble as the world roared. The wind and clouds were surging in Xiaoyan's senses. Hong Long! The entire world seemed like it was going to explode. The old man didn't care about all of this. He slightly raised his eyelids, and the scene that looked like the end of the world suddenly disappeared. The entire world once again regained its clarity. Xiaoyan's forehead was covered in sweat. His eyes were fixed on the mysterious old man. Under the cover of the black robe, he couldn't see the old man's face clearly. He could only see the lower half of the old man's smiling face. It's normal that you don't know. After all, so many years have passed. The old man spoke slowly while Xiaoyan was shocked. He lifted his right arm and extended his hand, which was as dry as firewood. With a slight movement of his finger, 3 mysterious iron mines appeared beside him. Ugh, that battle was so terrifying when I thought about it. Even the Star Sky tablet was beaten until it was scattered all over the place. However, at least there was a trace of it. The old man muttered to himself. When he heard Xiaoyan's words, it sounded like thunder from the 9 heavens, endless. Senior, this young man boldly asks, I wonder if you are that. Xiaoyan calmed himself down, cupped his fists and said sincerely. Looking at the old man's reaction, it seemed like he didn't intend to scold him, which made Xiaoyan feel relieved. As for Xiaoao, it had lost all connection with the old man the moment he appeared. It curled up in Xiaoyan's body, not daring to move at all. Me. Hearing Xiaoyan's question, the old man recovered from his memories and looked at the old man with interest. He pondered for a moment, as if he was thinking about the memory that he had lost for a long time. I can be considered a clone of the Domain Lord. It can also be said that I am the Domain Lord himself. The old man laughed and said softly. Xiaoyan was shocked when he heard this. You are the Domain Lord, a peerless expert who suppressed Nether Imperial Consort Satsuma. Looking at the old man sitting on the green throne in the air, Xiaoyan's eyes widened. Previously, Xiaoao had told him about the Domain Lord. The latter suppressed Satsuma and was killed by the Domain Lord of Nether Domain who rushed over after hearing the news. The sacred weapon that he held was also broken into pieces. Now, it seemed that the broken sacred weapon was most likely this so-called Star Sky tablet. Satsuma, you little fellow, you also know Satsuma. The old man laughed lightly when he heard that. After pondering for a moment, he slowly said, suppressing Satsuma was done by my main body. As for me, I fell during the battle with the Soul Demon King. However, since I was able to defeat the Soul Demon King, it's worth sacrificing this Dharma idol. The old man mumbled to himself and said, fortunately, all the soul demon were eradicated and the 9 disciples were sealed. The great world has also returned to its peaceful state. However, you little child, you don't know about the soul demon and don't know how terrifying they are. As he spoke, the old man smiled gently. He seemed to not care about the death of this Dharma idol. Soul demon. Xiaoyan's throat moved when he heard this word again. He opened his mouth and seemed to have made up his mind in an instant. he said in a hoarse voice. Soul demon has recovered. Ninth disciple is also slowly waking up. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.